Whether in Gotham, the Xavier Mansion, Hell's Kitchen, or atop the skyscrapers of New York, the fact is that vigilantes often develop a secret passion for their enemies. In both Marvel and DC, even the most honorable and just heroes have had forbidden relationships, and these are the ones we'll explore in today's video.
Number 1. Batman. Batman is that dark, extremely focused character who always strives to do what's right. However, there have been several instances in the comics where he has shown a departure from his usual reasoning, especially when it comes to love, as he's become quite involved with some of his enemies. To start, let's talk about Catwoman. She's a very skilled thief, and just by being a criminal, she goes against everything Batman stands for. Yet the Dark Knight could not resist Selina Kyle's charm, and, in various stories, he's been romantically involved with her. Recently in DC Comics, Bruce Wayne proposed to her. That's right, man. Isn't that surprising? However, despite Batman's genuine love for Catwoman, in some stories, his son was conceived from another villainess. Robin, who is Bruce Wayne's biological son, is also the child of Talia al Ghul. Talia, in turn, is the daughter of one of Batman's greatest enemies, the man known as Ra's al Ghul. And surprisingly, it was Ra's himself who wanted them to marry. This is because, despite being his enemy, he recognizes that Batman is an incredible man who would be a great successor to lead his empire. Although Bruce Wayne declined the leadership of the League of Shadows, he genuinely began to care for Talia, and their meetings became more frequent. The problem is that Talia does not choose a side. She has helped Batman on numerous occasions, but directly or indirectly, she remains loyal to her father, adopting villainous behaviors. Number 2. Cyclops. If you were impressed by Batman's involvement with 2 villains, you'll be even more surprised to learn that Marvel's Cyclops has been involved with 3. Jean Grey has always been the great love of Scott Summers' life. In most stories, the two were romantically involved. Cyclops is a hero with the power to release concussive blasts from his eyes, and Jean is also a heroine with telepathic powers. Yes, they are both heroes and therefore should not be on this list, except for the fact that Jean became a villain. Later, she was possessed by a very powerful entity and became the Dark Phoenix. However, she ended up dying. But Scott didn't stay alone for long, as shortly after his beloved's death, he met a woman named Madeline Pryor, who was actually a clone of Jean and had been created by Mr. Sinister. They married and Cyclops had a child with Madeline. This child was named Nathan Summers, and guess what? This kid is Cable. That's right. When Nathan was still a child, he was sent to the future to be cured of a deadly virus. When he time traveled back and returned to his reality, he already appeared older. After enduring several traumas such as being abandoned by her husband, losing her child, and discovering that she's a clone, Madeline Pryor became enraged and turned into a villain. But it doesn't stop there. There's another villainess that Cyclops has dated. Emma Frost started out as a villain. She was one of X-Men's enemies and fought against the team on several occasions. She's also a telepath, but in addition, she has the power to transform her body into a diamond structure, making her highly resistant to various types of attacks. After battling a powerful being, she fell into a coma, and the X-Men admitted her to the Xavier Mansion. When she awoke from the coma, she was invited to join the team and accepted. It was during this time she began to develop strong feelings for Scott Summers, and the two became a couple. Number 3. Daredevil. Certainly Daredevil and Elektra are one of the most well-known couples in comics. Daredevil is the hero with visual impairment who fights crime in the streets of Hell's Kitchen. His real name is Matt Murdock, and he works as a lawyer. Elektra, on the other hand, is a highly trained assassin known for her skills with size, and she's occasionally getting into trouble with heroes. As a hero who always strives to follow the path of good, he would prefer to date an ordinary woman. However, his heart beats faster for the darkness that emanates from Elektra. Similarly, the two characters have a darker connection, which has defined who they are today. Perhaps this dark connection is what attracts them to each other. Nevertheless, no matter how much love they have for each other, in the comics, they're often in conflict, as Daredevil is opposed to killing, while Elektra practically lives by it. However, there are some exceptions. For example, when Elektra decides to ally with Daredevil, but this always lasts very briefly, and soon after, they're on opposing sides once again. Number 4. Spider-Man. Even Spider-Man, the famous neighborhood superhero, has been involved with a villainess. Felicia Hardy is a woman skilled in stealing jewels. When she dons her thief's outfit, she's known as Black Cat. Black Cat was the woman Peter eventually married, but the relationship was quite different. They began to feel attracted to each other every time they met in the nights of New York. Black Cat's beauty affected Peter, and the amazing Spider-Man piqued the villainess's interest. They started seeing each other occasionally, never knowing each other's secret identities, until one day they decided to date and revealed themselves. They were together for a while, but Felicia Hardy broke up with Peter after realizing that she loved Spider-Man, but Peter Parker, beneath the costume, did not attract her at all. Consequently, they ended their relationship, which was more of a fling than a true love. The next case wasn't exactly a relationship, but rather a quick romance of just one night, but I thought it was interesting to share. Scott Lang is one of the men who took on the mantle of Ant-Man in Marvel Comics. He became more widely known after a cinematic universe portrayal, where he is the current Ant-Man. In the comics, there was a day when everything was going wrong for Scott, and at night, he decides to go to a bar to have a drink and forget his troubles. While there, he spotted a villainess known as Beetle. She wore advanced technology armor to commit her crimes. That night, she was just there having some fun, but Scott tried to use his powers to apprehend her. However, she managed to defend herself and thwart the hero's attack. They then started talking, and Diana suggested they go somewhere more private. The story was cut off, and in the following comics, we find out that they spent the night together. Number 5. Batman Flashpoint. I've already mentioned Batman on this list, but I need to talk about him again, and you'll understand why. The Joker and Batman, as we know, have a love-hate relationship, right? It's as if they complete each other. They're two sides of the same coin. However, the case I'm going to discuss is far beyond that. In the story called Flashpoint, Barry Allen decides to travel back in time to save his mother's life. However, when he did this, he ended up creating a new timeline where reality was completely altered. In this new reality, it wasn't Bruce Wayne's parents who died, it was Bruce himself, who was shot and killed as a child. His parents Thomas and Martha witnessed this and reacted in different ways. Thomas developed a hatred for criminals, and he decided to become the masked vigilante after killing his son's murderer. So he became Batman. As for Martha Wayne, she could not bear the loss of Bruce and went mad. She did not receive therapy and deteriorated further, eventually becoming the Joker in this reality. She cut her own mouth to give herself a smiling appearance, as she never smiled again after her son's death. Just like in the main DC universe, the two became enemies. The fact is that they were married and had children together, and it's precisely this extra element that makes things far more interesting. When Thomas met Barry and learned that it was possible to travel back in time and rewrite history, he went to find Martha. The Joker told her the whole story, and they reconciled after so much time. Now Batman and the Joker were together again, to try and save their son's life. However, Martha asked if, in Barry Allen's original reality, their son Bruce had become a doctor. When she discovered that in fact he became the Batman, she ran away. After all, the figure of Batman was what she despised most. As she ran, she accidentally fell off a cliff and died from the fall. Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we upload a video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.